today, Milverton Public School. Today we're moving on in probability. Some of you are going to notice that this says lesson 3, not lesson 2. That's because, and you can get all ready to cheer, we are not doing the lesson with the reflecting questions. So that will not happen today. So we're moving on, and we are moving to lesson 3, which is calculating probability. So for grade 8s, this is probably mostly review. For grade 7s, it might be kind of new. Really, the trick is in how to write the probability and how to think about the questions. So this question's a little strange, but it says Colin and Caitlin are buying tickets for a pizza lottery. The tickets are numbered from 1 to 100. Colin buys all the tickets that are multiples of 10, and Caitlin buys all the tickets that are factors of 32. So the way we calculate what we'd call theoretical probability, those are really your chances. So like if it left on all by itself, not in an experiment, what is the chance of someone winning? We take a look at the number of favorable events for outcomes for an event over top of the total number of possible outcomes. So that's really what we're looking at today. So what is the probability that Colin would win? So I went ahead and listed all the multiples of 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. That turns out to be 10 different possibilities. So there are 10 possible outcomes that could get him to win, right? But the total number of outcomes, so that's 10 possible ways he could win. But the total number of tickets that are out there is 100. So we would be saying Colin's chances are 10 out of 100, which would be 1 out of 10. So he had a 1 out of 10 chance of winning. Okay, what is the probability Caitlin would win? So I already did our factors of 32. And if we look at that, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factors. So there's 6, which would be 6 out of, and what are, again, the same idea here is the total number of possible outcomes is 100. And that means that we could lower that to 3 out of 50. So her chances are 3 out of 50. So then you could start saying, well, who has a better chance? Well, obviously Colin has a better chance of winning. Okay, so then we could go ahead and take a look at some other ones. So it says express each probability in different ways. The probability of getting yellow. So how many squares are yellow? Well, we have 1. And how many squares are there in total? There's 4. So what are the chances of getting a yellow square? Of spinning and getting the yellow square, 1 in 4. Or another way we could look at that is we could put it in a decimal and say it's a 0.25 chance. Or we could say it's a 25% chance. Okay, so those are the options. Then we could look at what's the probability of green. Well, strangely enough, it is also 1 out of 4, or 0.25, or 25%. If we said something like, what's the chance of getting green and yellow? Then it would be 2 out of 4, or 1/2. Okay? Then if we look down here, we're going to say, what is the probability of getting heads and 1 tails? So 1 heads and 1 tail. So you're going to flip 2 coins. So the way you'd want to figure that out is you'd go, well, I can flip my first coin and get heads. Oops, boy, that's a mess. Let's fix that up. So let's undo, 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 undo. Okay, so I could get heads. Or I could flip my first coin and get tails. After I flip my coin and get heads, I could get either heads or tails. So I could flip heads or heads tails. If I flip tails, I could either get heads or tails. In any case, what's the chance of me getting 1 head and 1 tail? So there's a head and tail. Here's a head and tail. So that's 1 out of 4 possibilities. So the chances are 1 in 4 that I would get a head and a tail. This is called a tree diagram for those of you that don't remember. Okay. The last one, what is the chance of getting the Queen of Spades out of a deck of cards? So if you look at the Queen of Spades, that's 1 card out of a possible 52 card deck, unless they included jokers, but you can go through this. I'm pretty sure there isn't any. So the chances are 1 out of 52. And again, you could put that in percent, you could put that in a decimal format, and those are the different ways you could do it. So if you look at this, there are a bunch of questions for each of you to try. Grade 7s and 8s, none of them are incredibly challenging, but do require you to do a little bit of thinking as you look at it. So again, remembering there's 52 cards in a deck. Try to think about how you come up with all of your possibilities. If you have any questions at all, make for sure to check in with your teachers, and we'll talk to you soon.